I want to introduce to the stage Representative Joe Neguse, Congressman from Colorado. Hi, Joe.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to Netroots Nation. I'll let you take it away from here.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me, and welcome everyone to Netroots Nation. This year's, of course, event is a little bit different than most. I am very grateful to the incredible team of organizers who made this event possible. I know, as Arshad mentioned, that this year's convention was supposed to be here in Denver, Colorado, and so let me extend first a virtual welcome from our great state, because I am here live in Boulder County, Colorado, and while I'm sad that we're not going to get to share our beautiful mountains or our world-famous craft beer with you all, thrilled to be able to at least join you virtually. I will just start with this, which I suspect that every single person who's watching is fully aware of. We are in an existential moment. The election this November is critical, and really nothing could be more important. Your investments, your passion, your commitment, your dedication right now is crucial. And I am so grateful that as we approach this consequential moment for our country, that we have the power of the organizers and activists here today, the grassroots strength and the progressive coalition that Netroots Nation has literally built from the ground up over the course of the last 15 years. What I know for sure is that the stakes are too high this November, and we cannot risk anyone sitting out. As we kind of just set the table, it's important to take a step back and recognize where we are. 5 million positive cases of coronavirus in the United States. Over 160,000 American lives lost. 16 million people out of work. Folks struggling to be able to put food on the table. Neighbors, family, friends, colleagues, fellow community members. And while all of that is happening, we're seeing a complete and wholesale vacuum of leadership at the federal level, and in particular in the White House. So when I say that the health of our communities, the lives and the livelihoods of millions of Americans are at stake, you know that I mean it. And as was mentioned at the top of the hour, equality and justice are at stake as well. We are truly in a fight for the soul of our nation. I know that many folks have said that, but it remains true. This November really will determine the path forward as we fight to address systemic inequities ingrained in our system and forge on towards a more perfect, more just, and more fair union. And not only that, and let me tell you, as a member of the House Judiciary Committee, our very democracy, our republic, is at stake. Our elections are undermined and challenged today like they never have been before. As more and more Americans are relying on mail-in ballots to protect themselves and protect their families and help stop the spread of the virus, the Postal Service is being undermined on a daily basis, mismanaged, left without needed resources to survive. Just this morning, the President of the United States admitted on national television that he was intentionally, deliberately sabotaging the Postal Service to prevent citizens from being able to vote by mail in the middle of a pandemic. So voter suppression is alive and well, and the spread of misinformation about mail-in voting coming from the very top, the widespread disinformation left unchecked across our social media platforms, literally the president calling into question the very results of an election still months away. Clearly, a lot is on the line. But even amidst all the chaos and the corruption and the callousness, I will also confess to you that I see hope for our future. And I see that hope in individuals like yourselves across our country who are continuing to fight. And I am here today to tell you that change is possible. As the son of African immigrants, my folks fled to East Africa as refugees over 40 years ago. I am not your typical congressman. When I was elected in 2018, together here in Colorado, we made history, sending the first African American to the United States Congress to represent Colorado in our state's history. And now I serve as the youngest African American male in the United States House of Representatives and the youngest member at the Democratic leadership table. And of course, we're poised to make history again this November when Mondaire Jones becomes the youngest African American serving in the United States House of Representatives, and when soon-to-be Representative-elect Bowman joins the Congress to shake up the status quo. My folks, my parents worked incredibly hard to give me and my sister the ability to be able to pursue our dreams. And they instilled in us that we couldn't take for granted the opportunities that we have in this country. And now their belief in the American dream, their belief in the promise of America, I can pass on to my young daughter, Natalie, who turns 2 in just a week and a half. And so even in this consequential moment, and as I said, amidst the fear and the division and every effort over the last 4 years to tear us apart and to divide us and suppress us, my belief in the promise of America has stood strong. And as our democratic institutions have been under threat, as the integrity of our elections and our Constitution is attacked, their purpose and their power hold even more weight. Now, truth be told, there have been a lot of fights in the House of Representatives over the course of this last 2 years. But I have been so heartened to know that Netroots Nation, that many of you have our back, that in every one of those fights, we have your activism, your policies, and your voices joining in and reminding the nation that the promise of America is worth fighting for and that real transformational change is possible. But we know at the end of the day that we have to do it together. When we organize together, when we march together, when our passion and our voices are tangled up together in one united voice for change and progress, we can overcome anything, including the political divisiveness and the morality breakdown, the corruption that we're seeing from the top leadership in our country right now. So the question for all of us, including myself, right, is how we take the urgency and the momentum of this political moment to the polls in November. And in my view, it's simple. It's following the footsteps of the giants and the heroes who have paved the way, who have walked similarly difficult and consequential roads in our country's history to save the soul and shape of our nation. By leading with love and compassion, by bringing people to our table, meeting them where they are, and continuing to reject the culture of fear and divisiveness that has become all too prevalent. A few weeks ago, I had the honor of joining many of my colleagues in the Congressional Black Caucus to travel to Atlanta, Georgia, and say goodbye to a friend, a mentor, a giant among giants, a true American hero, Mr. John Lewis. John Lewis was a civil rights legend who led with his life, his words, his actions. He was the kindest man that I had ever met, and his commitment to love and nonviolence was not shattered for anything. And I can remember just 2 weeks ago sitting in the pews at Ebenezer Baptist Church and listening to President Obama say so eloquently that John Lewis will be a founding father of that fuller, fairer, better America. That, to me, is what it's all about. And so it's our turn. It's our turn to make that promise a reality, because there's a lot more work to be done. The work that Mr. Lewis began, that he committed his life towards is now before us, and it's up to us as a nation to continue getting into good trouble and realizing the dream that John Lewis had. And of course, it runs the gamut, but it includes, in my view, strengthening the Voting Rights Act, which we'll be able to do, as I said, once Mondaire and Jamal and so many others join us come this November after the election. By fulfilling Mr. Lewis's legacy, by fulfilling the American promise with substantive policy change, and also by mobilizing voters this November, by driving more participation, we can make those dreams a reality. Mr. Lewis said in his final letter that the vote is the most powerful nonviolent change agent that you have in a democratic society. You must use it because it is not guaranteed. Those words are so prescient as we consider even the developments of the last 24 hours. So I hope that each and every one of you are committed to doing everything that you can to fulfilling that legacy, fulfilling that promise, denying this president a second term, and turning out this November like we never have before. We're counting on you. Our republic is counting on you. Thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to join you today. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay hopeful.